ministry is a blessing right now to be in the land of the living. Professionally, I'm a registered nurse here in Baltimore at Mercy Medical Center. I've been here for more than 25 years, and I work in labor and delivery.
Wow. And I do apologize because I think I still said Tab and it's Mowbray. Y'all, somebody messed up and got married last year. Just flipped everything. Made me have to learn new names. I'm like, I don't know who that is. and then Apostle, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. I'm here. Good evening to everyone. And Reverend Franklin, I just want to thank God for you tonight, your excitement and your encouragement and the word of the Lord that you shared. And good evening to you, Dr. Mowbray, Overseer Mowbray, and to all of you. It's just exciting to hear that somebody is interested in what's getting ready to happen, what's coming. And we also have such a part in making sure what we want to have happen, we're in a position to make it happen. And I'm excited about that.
I am so excited. I was like, I know I've never told you guys. I probably have done it individually. You know, just thank you for pouring into my life, because I'll never forget the prophecy that Apostle gave me. Apostle was like, there's a little girl in you, and that little girl has to grow up in order for you to basically move forward in ministry. And I was like, my God. And I was like, you were so right, because I still felt dwarfed in the ministry. It's like I didn't feel like I was able to accomplish what I needed to accomplish, because at that time, honestly, I really didn't even know what my destiny was or what my purpose was. All I knew was that I had a call and I answered it, but I'm going a little fast, because what I wanted you guys, the first question that I wanted to ask you guys is that, where do you see the state of women in ministry? Both of you are major leaders in the community. So where do you see the state of women in ministry? Either one of y'all can start.
Well, I would first like to say it's a blessing, first of all, to be a woman in ministry called by the Lord. I don't have as much ministry experience as my spiritual mom does, but I can say that being as I call myself a pew baby, and growing up, I've seen the role of the woman in church just evolve from being in the pews ourselves to being awesome leaders. And I see that role still expanding as of late, seeing I'll say the different things that women have gone on to do to emerge from not only being pastors locally, but on an international level and even in the marketplace. Tremendous leadership that women have brought forth, being in a usurped role, but truly being executive leadership, expanding ministry to the uttermost parts of the earth, which Jesus has commanded us to do. I've been inspired, I'll say, by many women in those roles, and I just thank God that there is a place for me. But I'm just so excited to see what God is going to do with His daughters through the power of ministry and through the power of even entrepreneurship in the coming years.
Okay. And Apostle?
And I celebrate what Pastor Overseer Mowbray said, and I agree with that, and I see the same thing. I see, as I've traveled around the country, especially in these countries, in our country, I see women who are very powerful and very dominant in the ministry. They're leaders, and they're, as even in the business world, they are not highlighted or showcased because maybe there are women, but yet they're doing powerful things, and they're showing, as Mrs. Obama said, they're showing little girls, or I believe it was Hillary, what they can be. They can be great leaders if they choose to, and I think we're going to see more of that. I think, I'm praying that we see more bonding or banding together, supporting one another, lifting up one another, and not, and just celebrating. I see more effective women in ministry, and it's more than we even imagine, because they're not on the forefront. They don't command sometimes the same platform as our counterparts do, but yet they're doing a tremendous work. And I see in 2017, 18, and 19, if the Lord should tarry, that women are going to just keep forging ahead. They are forging ahead. They're owning businesses. They have mega ministries. They're pastoring thousands of people, owning property for the Lord, and just moving forward. And I'm happy to be alive at that time, and at this time, happy to be a part of that. And I believe the women of God are going, and even women who are in the marketplace, who may not necessarily be quote-unquote women of God, but they're in the marketplace, I believe we're going to see expansion. I believe we're going to see more public acknowledgement and recognition. And I do believe that the sky is the limit for us. I believe we can obtain anything we want to obtain in this coming season. I believe it's going to be the years of women again. And this is like to throw cold water on it, but again, there is still a dual perspective.
Right.
That sometimes women don't get, they're doing the job, but they don't get always the recognition. And certainly they can't always get the financial backing, but I believe God is going to turn that around, and we're going to see more and more leaders, more and more women leaders who are already powerful, who already have big ministries, who already are doing great things, who already are feeding the homeless and sending people overseas and building churches. And I believe we're going to see that come to the forefront in the coming season.
I love it, because I think what part of that with being a woman in ministry is also identifying our purpose. And with purpose becomes, and I always have to say, purpose and destiny has to work together. How important is it and we'll stay right in the same vein of a woman in ministry to identify their purpose? How important is that?
Well, for me, this is Apostle Green. If you don't identify your person, your purpose, you will be spinning around in circles, doing things that are not necessarily your purpose. I reflect on my own life, and I am extremely excited about the life that the Lord has allowed me to live. Somebody asked me today, they said, if you could talk to your younger self, what would you tell her? And I said, I would tell her not to let other people's business become her business.
Wow.
And to do what God had laid out for her to do. And to let grown folk do grown folk things. In other words, I was the oldest of 8 children, and I felt I needed to guide my sisters and brothers and lead them. And some things God had for me to do, I may not have done. I turned down some opportunities trying to make sure everybody else was secure. But I think in 2017 and 18 and on, we have to know our purpose and go after it and be firm about it. This is what God called me to do, and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it to the best of my ability, and I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy what I'm doing. I'm going to have fun doing it, because I believe it's what God called me to do. And so when we know our purpose, we can definitely get to our destination. But without knowing our purpose, we'll be over here trying to do something that somebody else is doing, or over here thinking that's what I should do, only to end up realizing that what I was called to do is what I was called to do.
Right. I totally agree. Because I think so many times when we don't identify our purpose, we do operate in that land of guilt. And the crazy part about it is like guilt sometimes overshadows our purpose, because we know what we're supposed to do. But like you said, we start feeling guilty because I can't go take care of a parent. I can't go help out my brothers. I can't help out my sisters. I can't help out my friends, because it's like I feel guilty because I'm trying to do me. I'm trying to stay in the lane that I know God has called me to. But then we start feeling that part of guilt. And as women, we're born to be nurturers. So I think that has a lot to do with us not fulfilling or identifying our purpose. How do you feel about that, Overseer?
I definitely concur with both of you. I also tag on to that. A lot of times, it can be guilt or it can be loyalty. We get caught up in those things. Especially I find personal, as Apostle stated with myself, sometimes loyalty can be a prohibitor. And what I mean by that, in our time of or our years of gaining instructions or sitting under or being a support being, we get comfortable with that. That becomes a comfort zone because we are that nurturer. And even though embedded in us is that dream or that desire to pursue destiny, I think sometimes our loyalty, our heart loyalty holds us back, and we don't pursue that thing that we know that God has called us to. I remember different times in my life earlier on in ministry, a lot of times people are comfortable with you being in that space that you are in. They enjoy you, being that support being to them. But I would say to any listener that, you have to pursue your destiny very hard. You have to be relentless about it. You have to be persevering about it, because what happens is as time goes on, you find yourself sometimes getting frustrated and sometimes even feeling stuck. And I feel, though, that this is the right time and the right season and just the right atmosphere that God is cultivating leadership likened to Apostle Green, that's a great inspiration to me, that has charged me with pursuing God, what God has called me to do, and challenged me. You have to be connected to the right people that challenge you spiritually as well as in the natural to pursue God's call upon your life. And that's a blessing, because it calls for that person to have that keen insight about who you are, as well as you being comfortable and knowing who you are.
That's awesome, because again, it goes back to when you identify your purpose, you have to be comfortable in that, because it's so many times it's like you want to go with the norm, and it's like you have lived all this time. You've gone through 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, trying to be who everybody else wants you to be. But in this season, going into 2017, you have got to identify who you are and be okay with who you are, because I think so many times we don't, and we're not okay with it. We just want to be. We're like, okay, for real, God, this my purpose? Are you kidding me? And it's like you just start questioning everything, and it's like you're not trying to be deep, you're not trying to be so out there, but you like, are you serious? Because it feels like you're going against the norm. And do you feel like when you identify your purpose, it makes you go against the norm?
If the norm is, this is Apostle Green, if the norm is stay in line, do what I say do and only what I say do, or I can't move until somebody tells me I can move, which sometimes hinders our purpose. So most of the time, the things that God asks us to do are not going to be quote-unquote normal. So if there are 50 people in the ministry, the church I came from had at one time 56 ministers. Wow. And all of us were kind of sitting there waiting for our turn. Once or twice a year, we would have an opportunity. And the Lord called me out. He called me as the prophet, and my pastor knew it. I did everything decently in the order. But then one day, one day I just felt that the Lord had called me to start my own ministry. I stayed in my church. I stayed faithful, but I stepped out. It's not the norm. And I started a women's conference, and that was in 1995, and it's still going. Paula Green Ministries is still going. I still have conferences. I still have a relationship with my pastor, but the Lord has called me out. So it's not the norm for many of us. Which is also challenging for leaders, because as Dr. Overseer Mowbray said, people get used to having us in that role. But as God is calling us, and we start pursuing and developing and even being around people who are doing what we believe God has called us to do, it helps us grow, it helps us expand, and definitely it does not fall in the category of the norm. That's how I look at it.
Awesome. Well, guys, we are going to take a break. We're going to take a break for just a few minutes, and we're going to come back, and we're going to take this show to another level. But right now, we want you to know that your destiny is where it is.
got the time to get distracted.